Good day, people. How are you doing today? I'm Makeda Valletta, also known as the Body Scientist. And in case you're unfamiliar with me, I have a Bachelor of Science in Exercise and Sports Science with a concentration in strength and conditioning, sports nutrition minor. Prior to that, I was heavy into biotechnology. I'm very much into microbes, genetic diseases, just a nerd about that stuff. And currently working on a master's in medical cannabis science and therapeutics, and I have committed my life to studying all the ways we can bring our body to its highest level and bringing it into balance, which go hand in hand, okay? Because in my opinion, you can't bring your body to its highest level when it's out of balance, okay? And so really understanding how everything works, okay, is very interconnected. And I can tell you that just in my own background in the health sciences, there's a lot of indoctrination, miseducation and indoctrination that happens amongst healthcare practitioners. And so today I want to talk about skin, right? Skincare. And the more I listen to doctors, the vast majority of them seem completely clueless about what they're talking about, okay? And they really don't know how the body works. And it's just like astonishing to me. But I understand how it happened because medical students and pharmaceutical students, their whole education comes from the pharmaceutical industry. Just like all of the nutrition students, their education comes from the food companies, okay? I was woken up because the graduate program I was in, the first one was the only one that didn't take money from the food industry. But yes, dietitians, doctors, nurses, oh my God. It's so ridiculous. I watch stuff, and this is why I put out these videos. I can't save the world. I don't get paid for the videos I put out. And frankly, most people don't pay attention to it. But I'm an educator because I know how confusing it is for people because you're seeing, one thing most of the time and you think it's true. All right. Almost everything that, we get told by the health field is healthy or prevents disease is a lie. Okay. It actually causes it. So yesterday I was looking at a lecture on YouTube by a doctor at Stanford University. She was a dermatologist, and she was talking about skincare for cancer patients. Okay, she was talking about because when people have cancer and they start going through chemo and radiation, a lot of times it really destroys their skin, which makes sense because chemotherapy is poison, okay, and it destroys your microbiome. And if it's going to destroy your microbiome in your gut, what's going on in your gut affects your skin, right? And your skin is a part of your immune system. It's the largest organ in the body. It's 70% of our immune system is our skin or our gut, basically. So what affects the gut will affect the skin. So it makes sense that if you poison yourself, you're poisoning yourself is going to come out in your skin and affect your skin. In radiation, you're exposing your skin to radiation, right? So I'm going to talk about the things that this doctor was saying. I'm going to correct a lot of it. And even though this, lecture was about patients with who are going through cancer, chemotherapy and radiation, the things that I'm going to say applies for everybody, okay? And it applies for those of you who just want to be at your optimal level and make sure that, increase decrease your chances of getting cancer, okay? Because what you put in our skin is important. And I talk about this all the time. What you put on your skin is important. People are quick to just be putting all kinds of things on their skin. Your skin can be penetrated and things can go into your blood, okay? So one thing about dermatologists, period, okay, oh my God, it's like everything they say is completely wrong. They're always, talking about some kind of chemical lotion or some kind of chemical cream. All those creams and lotions are full of cancer-causing chemicals. If you don't believe me, look up the ingredients yourself, okay? And a lot of times you have to know how to find research. You have to know how to dig. Because a lot of times the first thing, when you Google it, the first few things that come up is going to tell you, oh, this is not toxic, this is not poison, this is fine, it's safe, and it's lies. So you have to know how to find research. And you have to know how to look for research on both sides, okay? And also use your critical thinking skills. But just look up the ingredients, okay? And so this dermatologist, she was recommending like all these chemical lotions and, okay, wait, hold on. Before I get to that, let me have a list of how I want to go down these notes. Okay, so first let me say, even about skin cancer, like this lecture was about cancer, period. Like someone who has chemotherapy, radiation, and they're going through it and how it affects their skin really bad. Their skin dries out, cracks, it gets infected. So it was about how to prevent these skin infections and the serious issues that happens with cancer patients in their skin. So, but on the side note of that, 1 in 5 Americans will develop skin cancer. Okay, so skin cancer is becoming increasingly common. Okay, so 1 in 5 Americans will develop skin cancer. That's a lot. Okay, 9,500 Americans are diagnosed with some form of skin cancer every day. Okay, 9,500 Americans are diagnosed with some form of skin cancer every day, and melanoma is number 5. Melanoma is the 5th most common cancer. Okay, so I said that. Now, well, people are always being told to put on sunscreen, and I've made videos before talking about that. I'll post them below on my YouTube channel. But nobody should be using sunscreen, okay? Not melanated people, not non-melanated people. Sunscreen is really bad, okay? And I'm also going to get into that in this lecture because, so I'm just going to say that. But so this dermatologist, she's recommending all these chemical lotions and moisturizers, and she's talking about how they burn a lot of people. So these chemical moisturizers, she's like, she recommends them to cancer patients, but a lot of times it'll burn them. Now, why is it burning? Because it's full of toxic chemicals, okay? So if your skin is already messed up, if you already have skin issues, the last thing you want to do is put stuff on your skin that's going to irritate it, okay? If you have skin issues, it's coming from inside, your gut, and the outside. But you do not want to put things in your skin that's going to irritate it even more. That's an absolute big no, okay? So putting chemicals and all these crazy chemicals is never the answer. So then she's recommending Vaseline, okay? She kept recommending Vaseline to these cancer patients who are undergoing chemo and radiation. And Vaseline is terrible, okay? Petroleum, jelly, whatever, that stuff is a byproduct of the like gasoline industry. It's full of toxic chemicals. Vaseline in itself is cancer causing. So if somebody has cancer, I wouldn't put it on my skin without cancer. But if you already have been diagnosed with cancer and your skin is cracking and getting infected and drying up and hardening, you don't want to cover it with some type of oil that is full of cancer-causing chemicals. You definitely don't. If you have cancer and you're serious about trying to fight it, you want to douse yourself from the inside and out with things that kill cancer cells, not cause them, okay? And if you want to prevent getting skin cancer or any other kind of cancer, you don't want to put Vaseline and petroleum jelly on your skin. That's a big no-no. And just now I was looking up the ingredients in the Vaseline, and I see they have some new mixtures. They have one called a healing jelly. And that one has shea butter in it. It has cocoa butter in it. It has aloe. It has hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid naturally occurs in bone broth. And to me, I was thinking to myself, like, this might be a few months ago. Usually, what affects your gut affects your skin. What's good for your gut is good for your skin. That's always the case. So since we know that bone broth is so good for the gut, and we know it's good for the skin too, but this is people ingesting bone broth, I thought to myself, I wonder if one can use bone broth topically, okay? And as I started thinking about that, I Googled it and I found that in Japan, they apparently do, like baths in pork broth. Now, the Japanese are huge on pork broth. If you go to any ramen store or ramen restaurant, it's always pork broth. Not chicken broth, not beef broth, but pork. And so apparently the Japanese have these bathhouses where they just bathe in pork broth, okay, for their skin, because that's what hyaluronic acid is. And you have all of these beauty products and skincare products making hyaluronic acid for the skin that's being synthetically made when it naturally occurs in bone broth. So if you're consuming gelatinous broth, you're going to get the hyaluronic acid, which is excellent for your skin. But then I thought about the topical use as well, right? Just like consuming yogurt internally is good for your skin because it's going to help to strengthen and build up the good bacteria in your gut and provide certain fats. But the same thing is true when you put yogurt on your skin topically. It has alpha hydroxy acid, it has vitamins A and D, and things that are very nourishing for your skin. We have vitamin D receptors on our skin. Okay. Now, somebody asked this doctor. Now, she's a Stanford dermatologist, right? Hold on. Let me take a sip. Hold on a second. I hope I had some tea, but I moved it over there. Okay. So somebody asked this dermatologist about natural products. Like they asked her about, I think, castor oil or something, like natural moisturizers. And she was like, oh, I don't really know that much about natural moisturizers, but a lot of our customers, a lot of our clients want to use them. So I should know this, but I don't. But I'm going to compile a list and get back to you and share it with you guys. And then she talked about some of her people using coconut oil. And then she kept stressing some product that she recommends that has lanolin in it. And she kept stressing the fact that some people have a lanolin allergy. And make sure you test first to make sure you don't have a lanolin allergy. And she kept going on and on with the lanolin. And saying that she recommended Vaseline, #1 over everything. Now, I'm going to tell you why this is a problem. Okay? First of all, the fact that this dermatologist, you're a dermatologist at Stanford. You went through all that school, and you're at a top, institution, and you don't know anything about natural fats. Like, this is something, like, as a nutrition student, as a medical student, as a pharmaceutical student, we all take biochemistry. Now, granted, we learn it from different angles, and I feel like the pharmacists and the doctors, to me, the way that they learn biochemistry does not help them understand the body any better at all. And the way nutrition students learn it, we learn a lot of truth, but then we also get indoctrinated after that, right? To kind of make you forget what you know is true. And a lot of times when you're in school, stuff is so hard and so much. You're just trying to do what you need to do to graduate and pass these tests, right? So, coconut oil is not the best moisturizer to me, okay? Now, I make skincare products, and I put coconut oil in one of them, but it's mixed with a lot of other oils. Coconut oil by itself is not toxic to the skin. I just don't think it's the best moisturizer. Coconut oil is high and medium chain triglycerides, which are extremely antiviral and antibacterial. So that's good, right? So it has that property. But to me, it's not the best moisturizer. Like, I like to mix fats, but before I told somebody coconut oil, especially somebody who is dealing with serious skin issues, and what cancer patients are dealing with, where the stuff is cracking, it's dried out, it's starting to get infected, I definitely would recommend shea butter or cocoa butter, okay, before I'd recommend coconut oil. But really, a mixture of fats is going to be better than just one. But if it is just one, shea butter would be like maybe one of the ones, or tallow, okay? So, and the fact that she kept stressing these lanolin allergies, which, yeah, some people can have them, but it's like you're not stressing the fact that, like, all these other products are just straight chemicals and definitely irritate the skin. And to me as a dermatologist, I just don't understand how you don't. I'm so into fats and how they affect our skin. And these dermatologists are completely clueless. They think that everything you use has to come from the drugstore, which is crazy. The other thing about the natural fats, like lanolin is really excellent. I put lanolin in my skin products. Lanolin is high in vitamins A and D, like all animal fats, okay? The ghee, in my skin products, I use ghee, I use tallow, I use lanolin, and I use lard. All of those are high in cholesterol and vitamins A and D, all of which we need for our skin, okay? We have cholesterol in our skin barrier. It really helps to keep the barrier function of our skin right, okay? And so, yeah. And there are many fats, natural fats that are anti-carcinogenic, or that kill cancer cells, prevent cancer cells, and keep your skin healthy. And this doctor knew absolutely nothing about that. And it's crazy to me. So this doctor also kept telling people to constantly reapply sunscreen. She was stressing sunscreen and staying out of the sun. And she was talking to cancer patients, okay? She was talking to everybody, but she was talking to cancer patients. And she's telling these people who are going through chemotherapy and radiation, stay out the sun, constantly keep reapplying the sunscreen several times a day. But she was saying this to cancer patients and non-cancer patients, okay? So this is advice to people who don't have cancer as well. And cover up your skin, even your kids. She showed a picture of her children who were like 4 and 5, and they were on the beach with long sleeve shirts, long pants, and a hat, okay? Her kids. This woman was Asian, okay? And one of the things that was wrong with her talk was that she never differentiated between the types of skin, because the care that melanated skin needs is different than non-melanated skin. And even when I say that, I personally, I don't know what would work, like how Indian people are very melanated, but I'm not sure if their skin is similar to ours or not. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I do know that there's how you care for your skin and how much sun you need depends on how much melanin that you have. So yes, it is true that if you're light, bright, and don't have a lot of melanin, you cannot take a lot of sun. And if you, depending on where you are, if you happen to be like super pale and you want to go to DR or Jamaica or Colombia or some Florida, okay, where the sun is beaming down on you, you might only, because you're so light, you might just need 10 minutes of sun to get your vitamin D. After that, you start to burn. And the reason why, and I have a whole video where I talk about this, is that melanin blocks UV rays, okay? So melanin is like a natural sunscreen. But we need the UV rays to make vitamin D. And so when you put sunscreen on, whether you're melanated or not, it blocks the UV rays, which blocks your ability to make vitamin D. Vitamin D is anti-cancer. Vitamin D is all the vitamins are important, but vitamin D is by far one of the most important vitamins, okay? And it's actually a hormone, okay? And it's vitamin D receptors over every organ in our body, including our skin. And what that means is that vitamin D binds to those receptors and plays a role with those organs. And so I really can't think of a disease state that's not linked to a vitamin D deficiency, okay? And so, the way vitamin D is made is the UV light, the UV rays that hits our skin and interacts with cholesterol in our skin. And that cholesterol then in the UV rays converts into vitamin D. And so we need cholesterol in our diet to make vitamin D and to make our sex hormones and our stress hormones. And so, again, when you're putting animal fats in your skin, not only does it have vitamin A and D in it, but it also has cholesterol. So and we can absorb vitamin D transdermally, okay? In every cancer, vitamin D helps, okay? And so we can absorb it dermally, the vitamin D. So this woman knows none of that, okay? She's telling people to use toxic Vaseline, which causes cancer. She's telling people to stay out the sun, but the sun has many health properties. First of all, you can get some vitamin D from the sun, so you're blocking out the body's ability to make vitamin D with sunscreen and covering up. Even your children, it was highly disturbing. And you don't want to burn. People who are pale need less sun, and they don't want to put stuff on to be like, maybe you burn in 20 minutes. You don't want to be putting on things so you can stay outside for 2 hours now, because there's a reason why you're burning. That means you've had enough. When you start to burn, that means that there's genetic damage that's happening, okay? So now somebody who has a lot of melanin, yes, it's a natural sunscreen, but it's blocking the UV rays, which makes it harder for melanated people to make vitamin D from the sun, which is why if you're more melanated, you need to be outside for hours during the hottest time of the day. And the hottest time of the day is like 10 to 2 or 10 to 4, depending on where you are. Now, this is true, when you're north of Atlanta, Georgia, you're only going to be able to get vitamin D from the sun from from maybe like April or May. Talking to the camera makes me sleepy. For maybe April or May until about October, okay? We can get vitamin D from the sun. After that, it's a wrap. If you live north of Atlanta, Georgia, okay? Then this dermatologist was recommending makeup with SPF, okay, for the cancer patients. Makeup with sunscreen. So I'm like, if you have cancer, the last thing you should be doing is putting on makeup. And that sounds harsh because people want to feel attractive, but the chemicals in makeup are seriously cancer causing, okay? The chemicals in makeup are serious because if you already are battling cancer, it's my belief for somebody who's battling cancer that you want to eliminate every cancer-causing thing that you can out of your environment, because things feed cancer cells. If somebody has cancer and they want to fight it, you need to know how to starve the cancer cells. And you can't do that without supporting your body's natural defenses, which it comes from nutrition and things that you're eating. So this dermatologist told people, okay, if that were going through chemotherapy and radiation, that they should put sunscreen on, then put the makeup with the first put the makeup, the medicated cream that they recommend, whatever medicated cream or moisturizer, then the sunscreen, then the makeup with the SPF. That is so many cancer-causing chemicals, and there's something so wrong with that. Okay, and I'm like, wow, this is coming from a dermatologist. Then she's talking about different kinds of sunscreen, right? So you have physical sunscreen. Okay. You have I can't remember. One is called physical sunscreen and chemical sunscreen, I think. Chemical sunscreen is full of chemicals that block the UV rays, okay? Which is really bad, and I have videos where I talk about this more in depth, but again, it's blocking UV rays, blocking your ability to make vitamin D, which is super anti-cancer, and then the sunscreen is full of cancer-causing chemicals that can seep through your skin into your blood. Now, when you're using the physical sunscreen, okay, which is what I think is titanium dioxide and zinc oxide or something like that, and I've seen a lot of people try to say that was safe. I looked up studies yesterday. There's several studies about this titanium dioxide and zinc oxide being very detrimental to the skin, very irritating and cancer causing. So you're trying to so-called prevent skin cancer, okay, by blocking the UV rays with cancer causing chemicals or some type of metals that are very irritating and cause cancer. And block vitamin D production, which is the very thing we need to prevent cancer. It's so crazy how indoctrinated and clueless people are. So both of those sunscreens are toxic. Okay, and I don't care, again, what color you are. And this dermatologist, and I'll put her video below on my YouTube channel so you can see. But she spoke about the sun and melanin as if it was some type of disease state, okay? And it was just wow. She's telling people to wear gloves in the sun, okay, to protect their skin. You're going to go outside in the sun with long sleeve shirts, long pants, a hat, a brimmed hat, and gloves because you need to protect yourself from the sun that much. That is ridiculous. Okay. Yeah. And, the cancer thing, before I got into exercise and sports science, I was a biotechnology major, and I was very much into wanting to, genetics and wanting to research cures for genetic diseases. And so cancer was my mind back then because cancer is a genetic disease, okay? And people that don't understand science, they think that means that you inherited that from your family. That's not what that means. It just means that your genes are coding for this, which is why the tumors, the genes are coded to just keep reproducing and can't turn off. Now, it's doing that because the genetic code is coding for that. But that doesn't mean that came from your family. Okay? That can come from things that you eat that kind of mutate your DNA, that change your DNA. Okay? And the sun has many cancer preventing properties. My skin stays glowing. Thank you. Actually, thank you for reminding me of that. Thank you. I actually just, did a scrub I use soured raw milk. Not raw milk, raw cream. So I have raw cream that I get from the farm, and it had soured, so I'm not going to put it in my tea. So I took that and some sea salt. And usually I use a little bit of honey, but I didn't have any, but I just took those two, and I scrubbed my skin with it. And it's ridiculous how soft and moisturized your skin is when you get out the shower, when you do that. And that's alpha hydroxy acids, okay? And thank you for the compliments. I appreciate it. And somebody was asking me what do I put on my nails, and they're kind of broken right now. I moisturize my nails. I moisturize my cuticles. The same thing I put on my face, I put on my skin. Like, people be having all these different 10 products they put on their face. And no, I use the same soap on my whole body. There's the same moisturizer on my whole body, face, everything. And with, I've never gotten a manicure in my life, okay? I've never had a manicure in my whole long life. I've had a pedicure. I get pedicures, but never had a manicure, okay? And I really believe, but wait till I start doing that research. I'm sure that cutting the cuticles and messing around is not good. Now, only get a pedicure because it's for vanity reasons. Because in the summertime, you got to have, your toes painted and, so I go get a pedicure. But I hate getting pedicures. I always want to kick them in the face. Like, because I don't like people grabbing my feet the way they do. My feet can be ticklish. A lot of times they're doing things that hurts. And they're cutting something and it's starting to bleed, or it's like I can't stand it. But every time I go get a pedicure, they always can't believe I'm not getting a manicure. Like, I'm like, hell no. And then you see the people that work in a nail salon, they're sitting there with all those toxic chemicals. Like, it's crazy. Is raw milk good to put on the face? Is it better if the raw milk is spoiled? Yeah, raw milk is good to put anywhere. I just put the raw cream on my face. Yeah, it's good to put all over the body. Raw yogurt, okay. Hey Josh, ain't seen you in a while. Been thinking about you. One of my friends just popped up. But raw yogurt, okay, or like plain yogurt, a good quality yogurt with no sugars, no colors, no flavors, that's also good. So it could be cream, yogurt, raw milk. Now, the more it's fermented, it has good bacteria, so it'll be more medicinal, right? So you can have fresh raw milk, but if the raw milk is fermented, where it's soured, where you don't want to drink it because it just smells like soured milk and it doesn't taste good, you can use that. That's when I use it. You can use it fresh, but it becomes more medicinal when it ferments. And then the yogurt, or kefir can be even put in the vaginal canal to help maintain vaginal flora. So there's a lot of different uses for it. And then also drinking it, right? And so the thing that I wanted to say too, right? Because like the skincare moisturizers that I make, I choose the fats for specific reasons, okay? And I did a video about this years ago, but I know a lot more now, and I didn't get into everything. But the animal fats that I use in my skincare products, and it depends on which product you get, but I use ghee, which is high in butyric acid, okay? Now, butyric acid, it's so annoying because I look at doctor after doctor after doctor, video after video after video, with them talking about butyric acid. Somebody asked, I put coconut cream in my hair conditioner. Have you ever tried that? What is coconut cream exactly? Are you talking about coconut milk? Or tell me what you mean exactly about coconut cream. But no, I haven't tried it. But butyric acid, they keep telling you that you get it from eating fibrous foods, right? That your gut bacteria makes it when it ferments the vegetables you eat. You need to eat a lot of fiber. That's totally untrue. That's all they tell you, right? That you get butyric acid, eat more fiber. No, if you want more butyric acid, eat more butter, okay? Butyric acid sounds like butter because it's the main fat that's in butter. So I'm gonna come back to that coconut question. So let me just finish what I'm saying about the butyric acid. Hold on a minute. I'm just gonna take a note so I can address what you're saying. Hold on a minute. Hold on. I just want to remember. Okay. So butter is very high in butyric acid, as is ghee. Butyric acid is extremely good for the gut. It's extremely healing for the gut. So somebody who has IBS or they have Crohn's disease or any kind of gut issues, butyric acid is super important, okay? But it's also very good for the skin. And Ethiopians and Indian people, they use ghee on the skin and ghee in the hair. And so I have some notes of some things I want to say about butyric acid, okay? Again, butter. That's why I cook with as much butter as possible. I'm always finding ways to get more butter into my diet. You cannot eat too much butter. Extremely good for your microbiome in your gut, so which means it's going to be good for the microbiome in the skin. But I don't just use straight butter. I use ghee. And ghee is a clarified butter. So with ghee, they have removed the milk proteins, which is whey and casein, and they removed the milk carbohydrates, which is lactose. They remove that, and it's just pure butterfat. So high in butyric acid and also lactic acid. Now, butyric acid is a short-chain fatty acid. People hear a lot about medium-chain triglycerides, which is high in coconut oil, which, by the way, a lot of people are using MCT oil. I would never use MCT oil. I just use coconut oil. Because what is MCT oil? MCTs naturally occur in coconut oil. So if something says MCT oil, that means it's something that was made by industry. And that's never good because they're using chemicals to extract. So I don't do the MCT oil, I do coconut oil. Okay? So those are medium chain triglycerides. But then there's short chain fatty acids, which are extremely important for our health, extremely important to prevent cancer. Okay? There's so many studies showing that people with colon cancer, they have very low levels of butyrate. People with a lot of different kinds of cancers have low levels of butyrate in short-chain fatty acids. And people keep getting told, eat more vegetables, because the bacteria in your gut make it. But no one is telling people to eat more butter and ghee, okay? Because that's the natural source of it. And that feeds the good bacteria. The butter and the ghee feed the good bacteria in the gut, okay? So, I'm just going to read through these notes that I have that I wanted to make sure I said. So I said butyric acid is a short-chain fatty acid, and it has signaling factors in the gut-skin axis, okay? It has signaling factors in the gut-skin axis and can alleviate skin inflammation. The gut-skin axis refers to the bidirectional relationship between the gut microbiome and the skin. So I've told you that our gut and our skin is connected. If somebody has any skin issues, acne, eczema, psoriasis, bumps, stings, blemishes, dirt, it's always 100. I can tell you 100%. Something in your gut is not right. The balance of bacteria is not correct, and then we have these things in our gut called tight junctions. Okay, in our gut, in our skin. Okay, these tight junctions that help keep the skin in the gut not unpenetrable, okay? So it can't be penetrated by things. That's not supposed to be there. Now, there's something called leaky gut syndrome, okay, which I've known about for 20 years. And that happens when people have an imbalance of bacteria. You don't have a lot of good bacteria, which can happen from taking too many antibiotics, eating too much sugar. But the thing is that bad bacteria makes you crave sugar, and so it just feeds the bad bacteria more. And what happens, we all have this yeast inside of our gut called candida. But when we have an imbalance of bacteria, the candida can grow out of control, and it has branches, and the branches will poke holes in our gastrointestinal tract. And when that happens, the little molecules in the food that we eat are getting into our body where they should not be, okay? Because those tight junctions aren't strong. The way you keep those tight junctions tight in your mucosal layer of your gut is with arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid is a very important fat, which our endocannabinoids are also made out of. And I don't want to keep going into other tangents of scientific conversations, but I have videos talking about endocannabinoids. I have a video that's entitled, Did You Know Our Endocannabinoids Are Made from Animal Fats? Endocannabinoids are super important in the body, okay? Everybody's hearing about cannabis medicine. Well, just to be brief, we have an endocannabinoid system, just like we have a lymphatic system, a circulatory system, a respiratory system, an immune system, central nervous system, circulatory system, reproductive system. You have all these different systems, right? And the endocannabinoid system modulates all of them. This is why cannabis basically helps almost every health issue, is because of that. But you know what else? Do you know what else is just like that, which reminds me of cannabinoids so much, is vitamin D. Vitamin D is actually a hormone, and we have vitamin D receptors all over every cell in our body. And when vitamin D binds to it, it also modulates a lot of our systems and things that's going on in our body. Every type of cancer is linked to vitamin D deficiencies. Alzheimer's, vitamin D deficiencies. Skin issues, vitamin D, asthma, upper respiratory tract infection, even sleep apnea, okay? I have a cousin who has a 3-year-old son. He has sleep apnea so bad that he has to sleep with the machines, and they wanted to give him surgery. And I said to her, I'm pretty sure he's vitamin D deficient. And a lot of people don't get told that sleep apnea, a lot of it has to do with vitamin D deficiencies, okay? And sleep apnea can be dangerous, okay? It can be dangerous at any age. Hold on. I'm thirsty. Now, this is what I'm drinking, coconut water. After I'm done with this, I'm going to the gym, and I'm going to drink my coconut water, raw coconut water, right? Okay. This is coconut water and watermelon juice. Two of the best things to hydrate, okay? I would never drink Gatorade, Powerade. That stuff is cancer-causing. I've been saying for years, it's no surprise that the cancer rates are so high. It's no surprise. We all know people that have had cancer, died from cancer, like it's super common. It's not surprising. Because so many cancer-causing things around us. And you can avoid a lot of it if you know and if you care. But you're not going to get the information from the medical system because everything they tell you to prevent cancer causes it, like wearing sunscreen, okay? So, it's crazy how they lie. Like even right now with these ovarian cancers and uterine cancer, and they're linking it to hair relaxers. They knew that. They knew that in the 90s. They knew that in the 80s. They knew it. That's not new information. You know? So you can't believe in them. You can't believe them when they're telling you stuff is safe and all that nonsense, right? Okay. So, yeah, vitamin D deficiencies are linked to everything. And we have vitamin D receptors in our skin. And so, ghee, tallow, lard, lanolin, all animal fats that I use in my skincare products, they're all high in vitamin D. And they're all high in vitamin A. Vitamin A is also very important for your skin. If you look at a lot of natural skincare products, it has retinoic acid in it and retinol. What is that? What is retinoic acid and retinol? It's vitamin A. True vitamin A is called retinol. Okay? It's not beta carotene. That's not vitamin A. Okay? There's no vitamin A in fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables, plant foods have beta carotene, which is a precursor of vitamin A, which can be made into vitamin A in the presence of a lot of saturated fats, the right microbiome and the right enzymes in place. But you need tons of beta carotene. You need like 6 units of beta carotene to make 1 true unit of retinol. And it's very inefficient in children and the elderly and people with metabolic issues. But why do that when you could just eat some lard, some pork fat, some liver, some cod liver oil, some fish eggs, some, grass-fed eggs, some butter, and get true retinol, right? And so we have these vitamin A receptors. I was actually reading a lot of research last night about vitamin A. Because there's also receptors for that, right? So putting it on topically, and I've always had the question of like, we absorb a lot of things dermally, so I wonder if we can absorb vitamin D, and when we make vitamin D from the sun, that's being made in our skin with the UV rays. So I said, I wonder if we put vitamin D in our skin, if we actually absorb it. And I always felt like it made sense to me. And I just came across this dermatologist, or I don't know if he's a dermatologist, but he was a doctor, on YouTube. He made this video like 10 years ago. And he was going on and on and on about the importance of topical vitamin D. And he was talking about studies where people were able to get the vitamin D into their system much more efficiently through the skin route than through the oral route. Okay? And I'm like, oh my God. Like, that makes so much sense. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I already thought in my mind, which is one of the reasons why I put animal fats in my skincare products. There's many reasons. The cholesterol, the vitamin D, the natural vitamin A, and the chemistry of the fats, okay? I love the chemistry of fats, okay? So back to butyric acid. Let me just finish telling you. So, basically, it's saying that it's a short-chain fatty acid. It has signaling factors in the gut-skin axis, okay? And it can alleviate skin inflammation. And the gut-skin axis refers to the bidirectional relationship between the gut microbiome and the skin. So, remember, your gut and your skin, absolutely connected. What's good for your gut is good for your skin. And we don't need to put fruits and vegetables on our skin. So you don't need that in your gut. Honestly, I'm just being honest, okay? The gut and the skin are both highly innervated. And if you don't know what that means, innervated means innervated with nerves, okay? There's a lot of nerves. That's what innervated means. So both the gut and the skin are highly innervated and vascularized organs, okay? And they harbor numerous resident microorganisms with similar functions. And I always talk about how, like, I protect my microbiome, my gut microbiome, my skin microbiome, my vaginal microbiome. I protect them with my life. So I do not put artificial hand sanitizers, and I haven't used that on my skin since the 90s. I've been since 1997. okay? And I have been totally against using any hand sanitizers on my skin because I knew that it destroys your skin microbiome. And it weakens your immune system. It makes you way more susceptible to all kinds of infections, okay? And I've talked about how I stabbed myself in the hand. This might be almost 20 years ago now by accident with a huge knife. I still have a scar here, huge knife. I was bleeding all out the hand because I had like a thick glass candle holder in my hand. And I don't know what I was thinking, but there was like a candle that was stuck in there. And I took this big knife and I'm sticking it in there now when I think about it, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? Oof. But I was trying to get the candle out of the candle holder and the knife went through the glass and stabbed me in the hand, okay? And I didn't go to the hospital. I went downstairs. I was in New York. I go to the corner store, like hand wrapped up, all bloody and shit, trying to get some type of bandage. And the man in the bodega was looking at me like, I think you should just go to the hospital. And I was supposed to go to San Francisco the next day, and I still went, wrapped my shit up. I didn't clean it, okay? I healed my hand, like, because I knew enough to know, okay, I had feelings in my fingers, you know, so I didn't think I did any type of real damage, and I just rehabbed my own hand. I never got any type of infections, okay? I remember going to Puerto Rico, like, maybe it was like 10 days later I went to Puerto Rico, and I'm not a big fan of the beach, but I know that salt water is healing, so I put my hand in the salt water, but I never got an infection, okay? A lot of that has to do with the bacteria that's already on your skin. Okay, and in your gut. So I consume fermented foods every day. I consume raw milk. I consume kefir. I consume a lot of raw dairy. Like, milk does my body good, but I consume a lot of raw dairy, which is how I get my probiotics. And I consume raw dairy in different states. I consume raw dairy in New York. I consume raw dairy in Illinois and Chicago. I drove from New York to Chicago. When was that? A couple months ago. Stopped in Ohio. Got some raw milk. I get raw milk in Pennsylvania and Philly. I've gotten it in Atlanta. When I used to live in Atlanta, the raw milk used to make my stomach, like, it might have just been because there's different bacteria. And when you get raw milk in different places, the bacteria is different. But it's good to expose yourself to different kinds of bacteria. That's how you strengthen your immune system. But I remember the raw milk in Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta 12 years ago now. I remember it used to kind of make my stomach and it was probably because of the bacteria that was there. I've had raw milk in South Florida. Yeah, I've had raw milk in South Florida, California for sure, Costa Rica, so as much as possible, so that's how I get my fermented foods, Where did I get my raw milk in New York? From a place called Udder Milk, okay? You can go, it's uddermilk.com, UDDERMILK.com, and they deliver to all 5 boroughs. I don't know what borough you're in. I know in Manhattan, they deliver on Saturdays and Tuesdays. Brooklyn, I forget what day it is, but they deliver to all 5 boroughs. And I've been ordering from them. It's a Muslim family from Egypt that live in New Jersey, and they go to all the farms upstate New York, and they deliver it. And when I was in New York, it was in the fall, like October, November, I can't remember. But I think it was October, and I was in New York. I drove to a farm upstate, and I never posted that footage. And I was going to post it because I drove to a farm an hour away from New York City. Like, in an hour radius from New York City. New York State, to me, I used to be a New York City snob, and I didn't care about upstate. I used to be like, upstate, that might as well be Nebraska. I didn't care about it. I've been to many states, traveled through states, never cared about my own state of New York State. But it wasn't until 3 years ago that I started discovering how beautiful upstate New York is. And not even that far outside of the city. Like, an hour outside of New York City is freaking beautiful. Okay? Like, the most beautiful, mystical land I have seen. Okay? Like, Vermont is beautiful. Maine. I've been to Seattle. That's the only place I've been in Washington State. Massachusetts, Connecticut. There's a lot of beautiful states, but New York to me tops it all. Now, just an hour, and New York is a huge agricultural state. So just in an hour outside the city, there's a whole bunch of raw milk farms. So I drove to one, and I will post it here, and they were literally milking the cows in front of us. And they were like some real country hillbilly farmers, and you would never think this, no cell phone service. You would never think that New York City, such a major city, was an hour away. But every city is surrounded by farms, okay? And it's so important to get your food from local farmers as much as possible. All these things that people worry about, them making fake meat and them putting things in the food, you don't have to worry about that when you get your food from local farmers, okay? But Udder Milk is where I get it in New York. That's Udder, UDDERMILK.com, okay? And in Chicago, I get it from a place called Amish and Healthy Foods, which is in a neighborhood that is, it borders... It's in a Ukrainian village, and it's actually run by Ukrainians, but it's called Amish Health and Foods, but everybody's Ukrainian, and they actually do business with the Amish, okay? Tons of places to get in Philly, but yeah. So now again, with the gut and the skin are both highly innervated and vascularized organs, and they harbor numerous resident microorganisms with similar functions, okay? So again, the bacteria is good for your gut, is good for your skin. The fats that are good for your gut are good for your skin, okay? Short-chain fatty acids are transported from the intestines to distant organs and tissues and bind to G-protein-coupled receptors that are expressed on skin cells, leukocytes, neutrophils, and other types of cells, thereby exerting direct influence on tissue metabolism and function, okay? So, short-chain fatty acids, which butyric acid is one major one, okay? They are transported from the intestines. So you consume butter, you consume ghee. Those short-chain fatty acids will go from the intestines to other parts of the body. Now, G-protein coupled receptors. It's interesting because the cannabinoid receptors are also G-protein coupled receptors. But now, these G-protein coupled receptors are on skin cells. Okay, now again, remember, skin is a part of our immune system. Our skin is our largest organ and a major part of our immune system. So it's on skin cells, leukocytes, neutrophils, and other types of cells. So the neutrophils and the leukocytes, those are all cells that are involved in our immune system. Okay? And so there are the short chain fatty acids, the butyric acid binds to receptors on those cells. So that means it affects those cells. So I like to look at the mechanism of action. Somebody can tell you, oh, this is good for that and this is good for that, but how? How does it work? That's what biochemistry is. Biochemistry is explaining the biochemical equations, pathways for how something is synthesized or broken down, okay? And nutrition is all biochemistry. Okay. So, yeah, and so when it binds to these cells, it exerts direct influence on tissue metabolism and function, yes. Recent studies have shown that short-chain fatty acids mitigate inflammation by regulating the production of cytokines by immune cells such as neutrophils, macrophages, and dendritic cells and T cells. Okay? So, again, recent studies have shown that short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which is in butter and ghee, mitigate inflammation by regulating the production of cytokines. Now, during C-19, during COVID, we all heard about the cytokine storm, which vitamin D is critical with that. And let me also say, just a side note, as I'm talking, there's all these other things. Like, I'm actually in New York right now, about to head back to Chicago. But I stayed in New York a little bit longer than I needed to because Chicago was too damn cold. It was like negative 15. I'm like, I'll stay in 30-degree weather. I don't need a negative 15 right now. But I'm about to head back to Chicago. But anyhow, both of my parents had COVID, okay? I didn't get sick at all. I took care of them both. Didn't get sick, okay? Granted, both of my parents took the jab. I did not. My dad's taken several of them. I haven't taken any of them. I did get it once in 2022, July 2022. I got it once, and I felt like it felt terrible, but I got over it in about 3 days. And I use CBD and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, my vitamin D levels are up, and I'm very conscious of that. And so, and my microbiome, so I wasn't worried, I might get sick. Whether or not you're around something or exposed to something doesn't mean that you're going to get sick. It has everything to do with your own immune system. The immune system has many layers to it. They don't tell you that. They make it seem like, the only way you can not get sick or get over the sickness is take something that they made in the laboratory. And it's pure lies, okay? So, and so the cytokine, so it modulates the cytokines. Okay, the cytokine storm was what was killing people from C-19. Okay, and vitamin D is heavily involved in that. And guess what? Butter is not only high in butyric acid, butter and ghee, but it's super high in vitamin D and vitamin A. And guess what? Vitamin A is critically important for the integrity of your mucous membranes. The mucous membranes, you got mucous membranes in your gut, the vaginal canal, the mouth, all of that also has to do with the immune system. Vitamin A is just as important as vitamin D when it comes to the immune system. They really work together. And I have whole videos, one video about vitamin A, one about vitamin D. But, okay, so now both gut and skin microbiota produce short-chain fatty acids. So if both the gut and the skin microbiota, the bacteria on the gut and the skin both produce short-chain fatty acids, then why do we need all these fruits and vegetables? Because you're not putting fruits and vegetables on your skin. So how is your skin producing short-chain fatty acids without the fiber? Does that make any sense? No. And the fruits and vegetables things is really overrated. You don't need a lot of fruits and vegetables. A lot of them are toxic. Like, to me, you keep them at a minimum. People who would be like on a carnivore diet, I'm not on that. Like, they're just like, I don't eat any plant foods. That's ridiculous. We're omnivores. And I'm not just trying to eat, they be eating stuff like a whole bunch of ground beef and eggs. Like, that's not tasty. Like, if I make eggs, I'm putting some peppers, some onions, some mushrooms in it. You know what I'm saying? Now, I make burgers. I put peppers and onions in my burger meat. I grill some onions and mushrooms and put it on top. I'm not going to just eat a burger patty and cheese. Like, that shit is not palatable to me. But fruits and vegetables are not super important like that. And it shouldn't be the bulk of what you're eating at all. Okay. Good gut bacteria make short-chain fatty acids, and they need short-chain fatty acids. Okay, so they make it, but they also need it. So the butter and the ghee actually are feeding the good bacteria and helping them to survive. Low short-chain fatty acids is an indicator that the gut microbiome is off. Okay? A lot of people that have Crohn's disease and irritable bowel syndrome and digestive issues probably have low short-chain fatty acids. And if you got that tested, you probably would find it out. Okay? Short-chain fatty acids, which include acetate, propionate, and butyrate, can be found in fermented foods such as cheese, butter, pickles, sauerkraut, yogurt, okay, and some alcoholic beverages. That's because of the fermentation process. And butyric acid is necessary for the thyroid receptors to work, okay? So for the thyroid, vitamin A is critical for the thyroid, okay? Critical. And vitamin A is only in animal foods, okay? Iodine is critical for thyroid, and so is butyric acid. All three of those things are in grass-fed butter. If you eat butter, and especially if you get butter from cows that was like within a couple of miles of the sea, they're going to be even higher in iodine. But vitamin A, iodine, and butyric acid are critical for important. And apparently 1 in 2 Americans has a thyroid issue. Eat more butter, period. Okay? And try to get the best quality butter, grass-fed butter. Like, I don't eat pancakes and stuff like that, but I constantly see, it's rare. Chicago got me kind of eating a little bit again. But when I do, I only eat a little bit of it. But when I see people eating pancakes and waffles, and I see it in like videos, and they don't have any butter on it, just pouring syrup, and I'm like, if I eat any of that stuff, I slather it in so much butter. It's just an excuse for me to eat more butter. First of all, it tastes way better. But also, the pancakes, the waffles, the syrup, it's all sugary carbohydrates. That's going to make your blood sugar levels spike. And when people want to be afraid, when people want to keep their health good and make sure they don't become diabetic and all these things, you need to be careful of blood sugar levels spiking like that. And the way you prevent that is by consuming sugary things or carbohydrates with protein and fat. So, for example, I make my raw milkshakes. I put a bunch of fruit in it with raw milk or some yogurt. So like that fat and that protein will prevent the sugars in the fruit from making my blood sugar level spike. The only time I wouldn't be worried about that is if you just finished working out hard, you're about to work out hard, or you are working out hard. Okay, because your body utilizes sugar differently at those times. Okay, I'm also a sports nutritionist, so I understand nutrition for the moving body and how what you do affects how nutrients are worked. Okay. How nutrients are used. What about grits or polenta? Because I'm a Black American, I do like me some grits, but grits need to be prepared properly, and I don't eat them often. Like, I had grits the other day. My mom made some fish and grits and some eggs, and it was good, but like I don't feel great after I eat grits a lot of times, even though I do like it. So I just say with grits, make sure you prepare it properly, put a lot of butter in it, some milk, and it's not a daily food, okay? Yeah, everything tastes better with more butter. Everything. Okay? I make my eggs with a bunch of butter. When I make salmon, I make a buttery, creamy sauce, white wine sauce with a lot of butter. Like sometimes I'm like, I need a reason to get more, like I need to make something that's heavy in butter. So then I make a shrimp scampi that's like, I make it with a creamy sauce too. And it's a whole bunch of butter and cream. And after I eat that, I feel so good and so happy. Okay? But yeah, butter. Everything tastes better with butter. Okay. Oh, so yeah, butyric acid is necessary for the thyroid receptors to work. The thyroid receptors. We need butyric acid, okay? So, eat more butter. Put animal fats on your skin, animal fats in your diet. I mix up stuff. You can mix up stuff, like, I just think that, and everybody uses my skincare products. I have a lot of repeat customers who have ordered things several times, and they all like it because they're like, it's not greasy. And a lot of that has to do with the animal fats in it. The animal fats absorb into our skin better because of the pH is similar to our skin pH. The cholesterol, the vitamin A and D, our skin absorbs it better. So a lot of people who didn't, especially men who might not have liked moisturizer before because they're like, oh, I don't like feeling sticky, and da-da-da-da. People always are like, oh, it doesn't feel sticky. And it has a lot to do with the animal fats. And so butyric acid is also important. I was talking about arachidonic acid, which arachidonic acid is, there's some arachidonic acid in butter, but there's also arachidonic acid in tallow. Okay, arachidonic acid is only in animal fats. It's in butter, it's in tallow. Our endocannabinoids are made from arachidonic acid, but arachidonic acid is critical for maintaining those tight junctions in the gut and our skin. Arachidonic acid and butyric acid. Two fats that are not found in plants that are critical for skin health and gut health. And it was crazy to me that this damn doctor, this Stanford dermatologist, talking to a room full of people who are caring for cancer patients or people who do have cancer. And, these cancer patients, their skin, she's talking about how it dries out to the point where it gets infected. They get, I heard her talking about like some people's skin gets dry and thick, so they give them some type of cream that eats away the keratinocytes. But alpha hydroxy acid can do that naturally. And that, again, is in milk products. Okay? That's why I just scrub my skin. And actually, a couple of days ago, I did a clay mask. Sometimes I usually use red Moroccan clay, but I use bentonite clay for the first time in years. But I mix it with like a good quality yogurt or kefir or some raw milk, some soured raw milk. I used to mix it with water, but now I do that. And when I put the soured raw milk in it, it's amazing how after I do that mask, how soft and moisturized my skin feels. Even in the shower, it's like I'm in the shower with skin moisture. Like the way, it's just crazy, So I love, raw milk and creams and yogurts on my skin. Absolutely. The alpha hydroxy acids, all those things, natural. All these things that dermatology people be trying to sell to you, you can get naturally out of products. And so this thing is live is gonna end in 1 minute and 30 seconds. So I'm gonna stop this video because I need to be able to save it. And I'm about to go to the gym and get my workout on. I just had to make this video. So if you learned something from this video, please like it, please share it, please follow me on YouTube, The Body Scientist 81. If you're on YouTube, please follow me on Instagram. Please share it because, I see people posting about stuff that I was talking about 15 years ago. And my videos got like 300 views and theirs got like 3 million. Okay. Especially when they're white men or women. Like, I don't know. People my videos don't be getting out there. And I've been talking about this stuff. So if you learn something, if you appreciate it, please share it. Okay. Sharing is caring. And, take care of your skin. Do what you need to do to not get cancer because it's way too common. And I'll talk to you guys later, okay? Bye. Be careful with them doctors because a lot of them don't know what they're talking about. All right, people. Bye.